A beautiful night for baseball here in Milwaukee. Game 2. Division rivals, the Chicago Cubs and Milwaukee Brewers, ready to lock horns, and the Brewers hoping to get one back after dropping a 10-0 decision last night. Paul Maholm, the lefty, on the hill for the Cubs, and Zach Greinke looking to keep his record perfect. It's 14-0 here at Miller Park. He's only the fourth pitcher since 1900 to win his first 14. Starlin Castro, 3 hits last night. He leads the National League in multi-hit games going back to the start of last season. So he continues to swing a very consistent bat for the Cubs. Hi, everybody. I'm Craig Deshawn along with Jerry Augustine as we welcome you back to the broadcast here for Game 2. Again, we're talking health updates, hoping the Brewers can get healthier each day as we go along. Aramis Ramirez, of course, the big question mark. Again tonight, he's missed the last 2 games with that left quad strain. Not in the lineup again tonight. 3 straight games now. What are they trying to accomplish by keeping him out and trying to get him healthy perhaps for tomorrow?
I'll tell you what, I think the organization has realized that they're having a lot of nagging injuries, and what you want to do is you want to keep things from reoccurring. So Ron Renicke's taken away with Aramis Ramirez, saying that let's get you back to 100%. Let's get him back to 100% where we can use him each and every day. They really need him. He drives into runs, and he's been swinging the bat very well.
Yeah, last 11 games swinging at nearly 350 clip, and this guy could use him in the lineup. The Zach attack, nobody better in his home ballpark than Zach Greinke. BA and Rock will break it down and show you some impressive numbers when we come back to Miller Park.
Sports Wisconsin is presented by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Miller Lite, because when friends come together, it's not just a good time, it's Miller time. By Toyota, when you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Toyota. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And there is Zach Greinke putting the final touches on his pregame preparation. Zach Greinke coming off a win on the road in Los Angeles, but it is his story at home that has been the story. He's 3-0 this year and a spectacular ERA of 1.30. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from Miller Park. Great night for baseball once again. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Brian Anderson. Zach Greinke will be a free agent at season's end, Rock, but why would he pitch anywhere else? Because he has been so good at Miller Park, still undefeated at this point. He's 14-0.
And you know the Brewers would love him to be on that mound for years to come, but I'm not sure really what the reason. I don't think anybody knows why Greinke has had so much success here. Maybe, pitching is a lot about touch and feel and comfort. Maybe it's the routine of pitching at home. He knows when his first inning is going to start. Who knows what the reason is, but regardless, he's 3-0 this year in 5 starts. He's given up all of 5 runs in those 5 starts. He's pitching with a lot of confidence right now. The Brewers need a win here tonight.
Well, Milwaukee trying to give themselves a chance to win a series. That means you have to win tonight and try to get the bat back in order. The Brew Crew shut out last night on only 5 hits. It's Game 2, Brewers-Cubs, coming up next on Fox Sports Wisconsin. He is the kind of pitcher where you could see something special on any given night. Zach Greinke, perfect at home, and he is the best home pitcher in all of baseball since 2011. He puts his 14-0 run at Miller Park on the line tonight against the Chicago Cubs. Well, Dale Swaim and his Cubs, probably their most complete performance of the year last night. A 10-0 win over Milwaukee was Ryan Dempster who picked up the victory. And the Cubs winning just for the 19th time this year. They snapped a 4-game losing streak and 11 consecutive losses on the road with that win last night. See the batting order for Dale Swaim, brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, with Campana, Castro, and DeJesus at the top of the order. Soriano, Laher, and Clevenger in the middle, with Barney, Stewart, and Mahalam rounding it out. The left-hander on the mound, Paul Mahalam, against Zach Greinke tonight.
Yeah, Greinke coming off a very good month of May where he was 3-1 with a 3.06 earned run average, and that included a game against the Diamondbacks where he gave up 7 runs in 2 1/3. So Greinke pitching very well, including his last start against the Dodgers. He picked up a win. The Brewers this year in his 11 starts this year, 8-3.
And let's check the Brewers defensively behind Zach Greinke with Ryan Braun, Carlos Gomez, Nori Aoki in the outfield. Brooks Conrad gets his first start at third base this year. Cody Ransom and Ricky Weeks at the Keystone with Corey Hart at first. And Martin Maldonado, rookie catcher, behind the plate, catching Greinke. Mike Everett, the crew chief, will call the balls and strikes. Paul Schreiber, Lance Barrett, and Laz Diaz on the bases. And you're all set up for tonight's game as Greinke deals strike one to Tony Campana to get us started. Cubs are 19-36. They are 11.5 back of the front-running Reds in the division, while the Brewers come in 24-31, 6.5 back. The Brewers are in a tie for fourth with the Astros, while the Cubs are in the last spot in the National League Central Division. Campana back in the leadoff spot again. This is just the 7th game he's hit leadoff. Dale Swaim has had David DeJesus in that role quite often this year, but putting the speed at the top, and it certainly paid off for him last night. The Cubs putting together a 10-0 victory as Greinke makes quick work of Tony Campana. Zach Greinke's last start was at Dodger Stadium, and he pitched very well. As Rock mentioned, he picked up the win against the Dodgers, and that secured a 4-game sweep against the Dodgers.
Able to go 6 innings. He cruised throughout the day. He had a rough second inning where he gave up a run, but that was it. So Zach Greinke, we talked about how well he's pitched at home this year. He hasn't pitched too poorly on the road except for 2 starts.
And one of those starts was against the Cubs, so he's got a little bit of redemption on his mind tonight. Greinke's worst start of the year, the most runs he had given up, 8 earned runs in just 3 2/3 innings against Chicago. That was after he had retired the first 6 in a row. Now Greinke, that was early. That was his second start of the season, and his first loss of the season. He's only lost twice all year. He's 6-2. And he's won 3 of his last 4 starts, picking up wins against the Mets, the Twins, and the Dodgers.
Man, these are games that the Brewers need to win. We talked about it on Brewers Live. You know, Greinke, all of his success here at Miller Park, pitches very well. Ordinarily doesn't give up too many runs. He's only given up 5 runs here all year. These are the games you have to win.
Bouncing ball to short. And Cody Ransom will make the play. Castro retired. It was a tough out last night. And 2 gone for Zach Greinke in the first. Got another great night for baseball here in Milwaukee. It's actually a little warmer than it was last night. 72 degrees our game time temperature. And just a slight breeze coming out of the east. What's different about the ballpark tonight from last night, the panels are open tonight. Last night they were closed. There was a little more wind blowing last night. So you actually feel a little bit of that current blowing through Miller Park, and we'll see if that affects the way the ball travels. Typically the ball travels well into the gaps when everything's wide open. 2 outs, David DeJesus, and he takes strike 1. Both managers searching for a lineup that can produce some offense. DeJesus has been one of the top leadoff hitters in the National League, but Swaim has him in the 3-hole tonight.
Doesn't have the power that goes with a number 3 hitter, but you know, Dale Swaim, just like Ron Renneke, trying to find a lineup with some consistency. This is the same lineup that he threw out there last night, except for the starting pitcher. That's something that's rare for the Cubs.
Yeah, and why would you change it after all the success last night? Cubs scoring 10 runs last night on 10 hits, and they beat Gallardo in last night's game, dropping Giovanni Gallardo to 4-5. 5 of those 10 runs coming against Giovanni. Ryan Dempster winning for the first time since last August. He snapped an 18 consecutive start streak without a win with a victory last night.
Yeah, but certainly no fault of his. He's been pitching very well. And it's just been run support, you know, for Dale Swaim's Cubs this year, but that wasn't a problem last night. Got off to a quick 3-0 start against Giovanni Gallardo last night.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Greinke facing David DeJesus. A .278 hitter this year with a couple of homers. One of them was against the Brewers. Has 12 runs batted in. Well, that didn't miss by much. I think DeJesus thought he had been rung up. He was waiting for the call from Mike Everett. Close pitch.
Yeah, very tough pitch to take with 2 strikes. But Mike Everett feels it's off the outside corner. Tough pitch to take with 2 strikes.
Well, I love the way Maldonado catches that ball. It's a subtle thing, but he makes it look good. There's a swing and a miss. And Greinke starts his night with a couple of strikeouts and a 3-up, 3-down inning. Brewers coming up against left-hander Paul Maholm. Turn his lineup over against Paul Maholm tonight, the left-hander for the Cubs. Piggly Wiggly batting order for Greinke this evening. Norichika Aoki leads off, then Gomez batting second. Those 2 flip-flopping from last night. Ryan Braun in the 3-hole. In the middle of the order, it's Corey Hart, Ricky Weeks, and Cody Ransom, with Brooks Conrad getting the start at third base tonight. Maldonado does the catching. And that's the order that will face Paul Maholm, the former Pirate, in his first year as a Chicago Cub.
And making his 21st start against the Brewers career. He was a Pirate, as we mentioned, and a Cub. 3-9 against the Brewers with a .474 earned run average. Maholm coming off a very good month of May as well, just like Greinke, 2-1 and a .356 earned run average.
Now, Maholm this year has given up 30 earned runs for the season, and his ERA at 4.8, as we showed you, but 12 of those 30 earned runs came in his first 2 starts of the season. And one of those games, his first start of the year, was against Milwaukee at Wrigley Field on a very cold night in Chicago. Maholm giving up 6 earned runs in just 4 innings on April 10th. A game that was won by Chris Narveson, saved by Frankie Rodriguez that night. So Maholm has settled down a bit since those early struggles.
Yeah, first 2 starts, he gave up 12 runs. 4 starts after that, gave up 3 earned runs combined. So, you know, he has thrown the baseball well.
Nori Aoki back in the leadoff spot tonight, hitting .273 for the year, and he slaps that one back up the middle, of base hit. Clean single to center field for the Brewer leadoff hitter, and a good start for the Brewers offensively. Check the Cubs defense. Soriano, Campana, and DeJesus in the outfield, left, center to right. The infield is Stewart, Castro, Barney, and LaHair, and Steve Clevenger behind the plate. As Rock mentioned, same position players as what we saw last night. Cubs defense brought to you by Menards. A base runner for Gomez. Had a hit last night, did Gomez. And he bounces one to third. Chance for two here. Stewart to second. Barney turns it. And with one pitch to Carlos Gomez, Mahalam gets a double play ball.
Yeah, the early lineup today had Gomez, Aoki 1 and 2 in the batting order, and then about right before batting practice, it was flip-flop with Aoki leading off and Gomez in the number 2 spot. Gomez hitting .302 against left-handed pitching this year. He's been hitting the baseball well against southpaws. And you can just tell that Gomez not running at 100%, really not striding out like he can.
Yeah, he's short stepping. He was on the disabled list for 2 weeks with a hamstring injury. And not quite ready to let it loose just yet. As Ryan Braun takes strike one from Mahalam. Braun comes in batting .307 for the year. His 14 homers, second in the league behind Carlos Beltran. And Braun with 36 RBIs. He's among the league leaders in runs batted in as well. Currently 8th in the league in RBIs. Just outside the top 10 in batting average. But you can find Braun's name among National League leaders in total bases. He's up there in on base percentage as well. Slugging percentage.
No surprise. Brony coming off a hip flexor injury that he sustained against the Pirates. Another guy not running at 100%. It's tough to find any Brewer that's going full bore right now.
Braun down on the count 1-2. And it's 2-2. Ryan, the third highest vote getter among outfielders in the National League. He's hoping to be an all-star starter once again. You can vote for Ryan Braun and any of the other Brewers that you feel deserving of an all-star appearance. Just go to Brewers.com. Vote Brewers today. Braun trying to make it his 5th consecutive appearance at the All-Star game. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Braun just stays alive. Yeah, we're about a month away from the All-Star game. It'll be in Kansas City this year. And they released the first results of the All-Star voting yesterday. As it stands right now, Ryan Braun joined by Carlos Beltran and Matt Kemp. Kemp's on the disabled list for the 2nd time with a hamstring injury. Beltran has remained relatively healthy this season.
Yeah, he's having a nice year.
That was the one guy that the Cardinals knew they had to keep healthy this year. And so far, so good, while the Cardinals have had injuries elsewhere. Lance Berkman, namely. Yadier Molina is the other Cardinal among the leaders. They'll issue these results every week now until the All-Star game. So these tallies will go up. Last year, Braun nearly 6 million votes when it was all said and done. Full count to him. And it's a called strike 3. Braun is rung up. Mahalam surprised him with a fastball. Inning over. A scoreless first at Miller Park. First, he'll face Alfonso Soriano to lead off this second inning. And he is swinging a big bat, both literally and figuratively, lately for the Chicago Cubs. He uses one of the largest bats in all of baseball. And he has been swinging it well lately. He's found the home run stroke, Rock. He has 9 homers in his last 20 games. And he jump-started the Cubs yesterday against Gallardo with a 3-run homer in the first inning.
And his last 2 home runs have come to the opposite field, something that you don't see much from Soriano. It was a Gallardo fastball away, and that was just about the last fastball that Soriano saw. Gallardo had good success with him with that curveball that Greinke has started him out with tonight.
Soriano was 1 for 3 last night. Scored a couple of runs, and he drove in 3 on that home run. Greinke has him 0-2. Cubs in the middle of a long road trip. They lost 4 in a row in San Francisco. They have 3 games here in Milwaukee, and then they head to Target Field in Minneapolis, their first trip to Target Field for interleague play against the Twins. The 0-2 to Soriano is up high and outside, and it's 1-2. Greinke with a couple of strikeouts in the first inning. And on paper, it looks like Greinke's getting significant run support. The Brewers are averaging 5.5 runs per game. Greinke. But remember, he pitched in that 16-run game on May 20th against the Twins. Only twice has the Brewers scored more than 6 runs for Greinke. So the numbers are a little bit skewed. But Greinke has pitched so well this year. He hasn't needed a whole lot of run support with his 6 victories thus far.
Yeah, still has that 3.46 earned run average, and 13 of his earned runs came in 2 starts. You know, you talk about that all the time, and it's so true. I mean, a couple of blow-up starts, and you got that ERA up about a run. Doesn't take much to get an earned run average up, but it takes an awful long time to get it down.
That's the story for the run support concerning the starters. There's always one guy who gets a lot of runs, and Greinke, as I mentioned, at 6.5, but that 16-run game skews that a little bit. But he'll take them. Soriano pops this one up foul. That'll be in the seats. And a long battle here between Greinke and Alfonso Soriano.
Yeah, that was a good pitch in on his hands with the fastball. Got ahead of him 0-2 with a couple of good curveballs, and then busted him inside on that 2-2 pitch. I'm going to speed the bat up a little bit. Let's see if he goes back with the slider or the curveball.
Looked like the slider from Greinke, and it misses down and away. A 9-pitch at bat already for Soriano. And number 10 on the way, a 3-2, and a bouncing ball. Fair ball gets by Conrad, and Soriano on his way to second base. I think Brooks thought it was going to hit the bag. It just missed it and stayed under him.
And went after with his bare hand. That looked like an unusual attempt down there at third base. Right down the line, Soriano with that big long bat, able to get a piece of it and just over the bag, and Conrad tried to barehand it, thinking perhaps that's his only shot. He didn't want to charge it because if it hit the bag, he would have been in trouble, so he stayed back on it. And that'll be a double for Soriano.
What a tough way to give up your first hit. So a double to start the inning. Cubs with a runner in scoring position for Brian LaHare. He also homered last night. Took a Gallardo curveball and hit one out to right field. His 12th homer of the season. Or his 11th homer of the season. His 23rd RBI. That one's hit sharply, but the shift on. Ransom thought about third. He'll take the out at first base.
Yeah, good decision right there by Ransom. Had the big shift. Conrad is going to be late getting there. No fault of his own. That's where he was positioned. That would have been a tough play. Conrad on the move. The throw might have hit the runner. A lot of bad things could have happened right there, but you take the shore out in the second inning.
And Zach Greinke has the kind of strikeout ability to get him out of an inning like this. Infield is up. Clevenger on the ground, right to Ransom, and Soriano has to stay put. So there's the second out. Soriano still at third base.
Zach getting that two-seamer down and able to get the ground ball with the infield in. He was getting a bit lucky. He hit it right at Ransom and he got the out.
And with 2 away, it's Darwin Barney, the Cubs second baseman. Barney's been a guy over the last couple of seasons who Cubs managers, whether it be Mike Quade or Dale Swaim, has used higher in the batting order. You know, sometimes lead off, mostly second. But Swaim has dropped him down here. I think Dale Swaim made a good point, and I know Greinke echoes the sentiment. No manager wants to change their lineup so much. You want to find a consistent lineup. Greinke had that last year in the division championship season. Pretty much a stable lineup, and that's the way managers feel comfortable. But when you're struggling to score runs and you have some holes in the lineup, you're forced to mix things up. You can't leave status quo. And you're searching for offense.
That's the only thing that manager can do. You know, get different guys in the lineup, move them around a little bit, see if there's a combination that might work. They can't go up there and hit.
A ball and 2 strikes, and Barney looks at one off the plate. Now the Brewers have used a new starting lineup in each of the last 19 games. And you can add one more to it tonight with the flip-flop. Gomez and Aoki. Brooks Conrad in at third base.
And sometimes you do it because those are the only healthy bodies that you have on the bench. And that's the situation the Brewers are in.
Brewers are hoping to get Aramis Ramirez back shortly. Most likely tomorrow if all goes well. Day game tomorrow against the Cubs. First pitch just a little after 1 o'clock here in Milwaukee. And Aramis Ramirez patiently waiting for a quad injury to heal. Lost him. Barney draws a walk. And Greinke running into a little roadblock here in the second. Started with a double that just missed the bag at third base. Bit unfortunate there. And now Barney has reached, but a lot of pitches in this inning. Most of them coming in a 10-pitch at bat to Soriano.
Well, so far the Cub right-handed hitters are laying off that Greinke slider with 2 strikes. That's the big strikeout pitch we were talking about when we came on the air tonight. Do they swing at it or do they lay off? So far they've been laying off of it.
And it'll be Ian Stewart now batting 8th for the Cubs. Greinke crowds him for ball 1. Stewart has had pretty good success against Greinke. Limited at bats, but has 4 hits in his 7 at bats against Zach Greinke throughout his career. Former Colorado Rocky. Hoping to find a home here in Chicago. Oh, when Stewart came up, the Rockies were very high on him. They thought he was going to be a guy to hit 20 to 30 homers a year, driving 90 to 100. And things kind of fell apart for him quickly with the Rockies, and he ends up with the Cubs. First and third for Chicago. A double and a walk. Stewart will swing away 3-0. Got to make a good pitch. Takes that one in off the plate, and the bases are loaded with Mahalam coming up.
That's a 4-pitch walk. Everything in on Stewart, including that 3-0 pitch. It was a cut fastball. Zach Greinke facing 5 left-handed hitters in the Cubs lineup tonight.
Well, the Cubs threatening in the second inning. But Greinke will face the pitcher Mahalam, who has 1 hit this year. He's 1 for 18 at the plate. Greinke deals him strike 1. Got a matchup of former first rounders tonight in Greinke and Mahalam. Mahalam was in the 03 draft, drafted by the Pirates. Greinke the year before in 02. We're going to have Bruce Side join us, the Brewers Director of Amateur Scouting. He's going to join us in the third inning, talk about the draft. The draft is completed, by the way. 40 rounds all in the books. And now the process of trying to sign all of the players that the Brewers drafted. So Bruce is going to join us, and we'll get a good update on who he likes, where they're headed maybe.
Intense time for the director of scouting, right? Scouting director Bruce Side. That's a there's a lot at stake in these drafts. It really is. It's a stressful time for those guys.
0-2 the count on Mahalam. The pitch, slow curveball, just for the fun of it. And it's 1-2. 53 miles an hour.
I think that broke Randy Wolf's record right there. 53 miles an hour. I think Wolfie had one at about 58. That was last year. I think just to be able to say he did it, he throws it to the opposing pitcher.
And he comes back with a 95 mile an hour fastball. We don't like to do a whole lot of math here in the booth, but by my calculations, that is a 42 mile an hour difference.
Right. Well, at least half of us don't.
Who can do that in a Major League Baseball game? That's something. But give Mahalam credit, he fouled it off. There's a breaking ball, and Maldonado with a great block. Mahalam able to lay off that nasty slider from Greinke, and Maldonado able to keep the runner at third.
Well, that'll just give Greinke that much more confidence in throwing that pitch down there with 2 strikes all night.
His 30th pitch of the inning, the 2-2. Steer right. Down goes Mahalam. It was a hard-earned scoreless second inning for Zach Greinke. Strands the bases loaded. Corey Hart will hit. He'll lead off when we come back.
Some Milwaukee alumni now managing other clubs in the days and the weeks ahead. Dale Swaim, of course, in the visitors' dugout tonight at Miller Park. The Brewers at Kansas City next week to take on Ned Yost and the Royals. And Mike Matheny, his first year managing the Cardinals. As Bill Schroeder will point out quickly, 2 of the 3 are ex-catchers, the position that apparently breeds leaders. Brian Anderson, an outstanding college catcher in Texas.
Not really, but thanks for the love. And video proof of Dale Swaim's days as a Milwaukee Brewer. Even though he wasn't a catcher, he always wanted to be one.
Yeah. Heck of a shortstop until he broke that leg, and it never was the same. But I'll tell you what, in '87, talk about a guy that really burst onto the scene, a number 9 hitter. Put together a fabulous year, part of Team Streak. And a very good baseball man, highly respected amongst baseball people.
Dale Swaim, that '87 season was his first full season in the major leagues. He had a year in '86. He played about 2/3 of the season, but that was the year that he really broke out. He had 25 homers that year for the Brewers, 95 RBIs, batting 9th from the shortstop position. As Corey Hart waves and misses, and Maholm picks up his 2nd K. Yep, Ned Yost and Mike Matheny, former Brewer catchers. Speaking of catching, Rob, did you talk a lot behind the plate to the opposing hitters? Sean is asking tonight in our carsoup.com email the booth question.
I did not. There were guys that that played that talked. Remember Mike Heath with the Oakland A's? He played the majority of it. That guy would never stop talking behind home plate. He'd pretend like he was talking to the umpire, but he was trying to get in your head. And I kept telling you, don't have to do that to mess me up at the plate here. I'll make it out for you no matter what. You don't have to keep talking. But I used to talk to the umpires a lot more than the batters that were up there. That whole myth that people talk about, in the movies where catchers would do things to irritate hitters, that really doesn't happen. That really doesn't.
No Crash Davis effect.
No, not throwing dirt on guys' shoes when the pitch is on its way. That type of thing. That doesn't happen.
Happens a lot in fantasy camp.
Right.
And softball.
You'll have your obligatory hellos, the first time a guy comes up, if you know him.
Morning, Ralph. Morning, Sam.
A lot like that. Day games.
Right.
What are you doing tonight?
2 balls and a strike on Ricky Weeks. That one's in there for strike 2. Yeah, they say Johnny Bench was a chatty catcher. That's the only story I know about. Catchers that talk.
And the only guy I remember, being a real chatterbox back there was that guy, Mike Heath.
Mike Heath. Slow roller out to second base. Darwin Barney will take care of Weeks, and Maholm has retired the first 2. Now this MLB on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Clubs of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. Yeah, school is almost out for most of the public schools here in Wisconsin. Going to be wrapping it up this week, and then it's game on. Looking at some big crowds on the next homestand. The Brewers actually set a bit of a milestone today with this crowd. Brewers are going to pass the 1 million mark today in game number 29 of the season.
Tremendous fans here in Wisconsin. Was it 3 out of the last 4 years? 3 million or more fans coming into Miller Park.
Yeah, and
outstanding.
3 million last year, and the Brewers reached the 1 million plateau in its 30th home game last year, so they're a game ahead of pace from last season. Right now the Brewers rank 10th in the major leagues in attendance. It's a remarkable story. Testament to the great fans, and Ryan Braun was talking about that yesterday as Cody Ransom fouls one off his foot. Now these guys, they realize they're struggling. This has been a rough start to the year. They're not where they want to be. 7 games under 500, but to a man, they talk about the support here, the the fans who continue to come out, the energy you get playing at Miller Park, they just like to start to utilize it, turn it into some victories.
Yeah, they don't use it as an excuse for the fact that they're under 500, but I guess the fans understand with all the injuries. The Brewers are trying to patchwork a lineup together every day, and you hope they get healthy real soon.
Now the next step for Ron Renicky is to get his third baseman back, Aramis Ramirez, and that could be tomorrow. Brewers have lost two of their shortstops. Cody Ransom has been getting most of the work at shortstop lately. Cesar Torres is on the disabled list with a hamstring injury, and he's coming along well but slowly. And of course Alex Gonzalez, the starting shortstop to begin the year, a torn ACL. He had season-ending knee surgery.
I saw Matt Gamble in the clubhouse yesterday and talked to Chris Narveson. Noticeably upset about being out of the lineup.
There's a strike called on the inside corner. He has rung up a couple of Brewers with that pitch. Mahalam, 2 scoreless. Third inning of work. He's a former first-round draft pick, and we're pleased to be joined now by the Brewers scouting director Bruce Sy. Great to have you with us. I know
it's a pleasure as always.
The first phase is over here of the draft. Now you got to try to get these guys signed. But tell us, in your opinion, the big picture, the broad brush, how the draft went for you.
Well, I think we accomplished some goals. You always go into a draft looking for impact-type players, and power tools and power skills definitely bring you impact. And where we were picking, we had the board lined up based on all of our looks and all of our evaluations, and we feel fortunate enough that some of the guys, actually all the guys that we wanted, got to us, and we walked out of there with a smile on our face.
Kind of unusual for the Brewers, 4 position players in the first 4 picks. How did it come about?
Well, people could say, is it planned that way? Because we took pitchers a lot over the last couple years. But in reality, you line up the board. There's pitchers on the board. There's position players on the board. And just so happens, we stay true. I mean, the first couple rounds, you're always staying true to your board. Because that's where you get your best impact.
I've got a catcher, the overall #1 pick from Milwaukee, 27th overall pick, Clint Coulter. Tell us about him.
Yeah, he's just he's a big physical guy. He's an athletic kid. Everything he does is with power and behind it. And on top of it, he's got really good makeup. So he's not a polished guy behind the plate. He does have some skills to hit for a kid in the Northwest. He played in all the major tournaments and showcases, and he was very successful against the top players out there. So he does have skills to hit. Needs a little polish behind the plate, but the skills to catch are there.
Now visiting with Bruce Side, who is just wrapping up the draft, Major League Baseball draft, being completed. Started on Monday. Clint Coulter was the first Brewers pick, and then you guys had the very next pick in Victor Roach, who is a power hitter, as Castro drives one into the gap in right center. And this will go for extras. Castro thinking about third. He'll smartly stop at second base with a double. And that is the second hit for the Cubs in this ball game against Greinke. But tell us about Roach, because he's a guy that is injured, and I know it's a calculated risk, but what was the process to make you want to select him with your second pick?
Well, going into the year, he was out of reach for us. I mean, you know, he's a premier power guy. I saw him at Fenway Park at the Cape Cod All-Star game, and you know, he hit balls over the monster and out of the stadium. And you just knew this was a kid that, you know, had the power to profile as a middle of the order bat. He's athletic too. He could play profiles in the corners. But he had this unfortunate injury. And, you know, as an organization, you know, you're looking for opportunity. And we felt opportunity existed. When this happened, we stayed on top of it. Our scouts did a really good job of, you know, keeping him in the mix. And we did our due diligence. We had our doctors. He came to Milwaukee just last week. Our doctors, Dr. Ross, Roger Kaplinger, took a look at him. They both felt very comfortable that he's going to be 100% down the road. So, yeah, I mean, you know, we felt that the reward outweighed the risk in this situation.
It seems as though a lot of high school kids early on, it looked to me on this sheet here, it looks like 7 of the first 13 picks out of high school. Is that is there a reason for that, or is it, like you said, just the way the board lined up for you?
Well, we started after the first 3-4 rounds. You know, we started looking for tools. We started looking for guys that offered, you know, opportunity to have high-end ceiling, and that's where we went at that point. You know, as I look at, you know, from the 6th round on, there's a high school player, there's a high school shortstop who's got some upside. That's Angel Ortega. David Otterman's a left-handed pitcher that throws up to 92. That we feel if he makes a couple adjustments, you know, could wind up being a pretty good pitcher. Right now, you know, he's got to do a few things that will enable him to have a little more feel in the zone. And after that, you know, there's some young guys that have some upside that we really like.
Yeah, you picked a guy from UW Milwaukee, Eric Semmelhack, out of Oak Creek, homespun kid. Tell us about him.
Well, Harvey Keene, our scout, you know, obviously from Milwaukee, knows the program real well here. We have good relationships with the coaches. They do a great job there. They had a couple kids drafted this year. But he came to our workout, and, you know, he's a big kid that throws up to 95. So, you know, when you get a guy that's throwing up to 95, as physical he is, he can spin the breaking ball. It's hard to pass up, especially where you got him.
95 with a hook. No matter, it doesn't matter where you're from, right?
Absolutely.
Now, Bruce Side joining us. He is the director of amateur scouting, and the Brewers wrapping up their draft earlier today. I know you're anxious to get a few hours of sleep, but at least you had some reinforcements. I understand tonight's starting pitcher Zach Greinke provided some scouting eyes for you in the war room.
Yeah, you know, I know that he loves to get on the video and evaluate the players. I know he has a list out there too that he talks with Doug Melvin about, and it's fun to hear his take on the players. And you know, we were very fortunate to have Craig Counsell up in the draft room too, because his insight coming just off the field, and you know, a player such as his stature that, you know, really played the game to the ultimate of his ability, and be able to put that type of input into what we're trying to accomplish just added to what we're doing.
Well, Greinke strikes out Soriano. More with Bruce Side when we continue. We'll get into what's next for some of these draft picks. Is another process that is just beginning. Presented by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. By Ho Chunk Gaming Wisconsin, your ticket to more. And by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. Bottom of the third at Miller Park. Brian Anderson with Bill Schroeder and Bruce Side between us, the Brewers director of amateur scouting, and he's just finished off the draft, and we're anxious to catch up on some of these young players and really talk about some of the changes in baseball. I think the draft was completely different this year than probably any draft you've ever experienced, because this year for the first time it's a 40-round major league draft. But you know, without going, I guess, too deep into the details, can you give us a little idea of what the slotting system, how it works, and why it came about?
Well, I think a lot of it came about because of players that were dropping in the draft and really weren't taken for their ability except in signability. And you know, you could possibly say there was some finagling going on with some teams and situations that took place that so you know, Major League Baseball said, hey, you know, we want to get the best players drafted in a system that could be fair for everyone. And I know the Players Union and Craig Counsell was part of that as a representative, and they hashed it out over the last year, and I'm very satisfied with it because you really have to be very focused, which we've always been, on maintaining a certain allotment that you're allowed in the top 10 rounds. And if you go over that allotment, then there's some pretty severe penalties.
But again, I mean, in the past, I think, you know, smaller market teams would, you know, really not draft a guy that they felt as though they just couldn't afford. I mean, has that pretty much been rectified, or is that still an issue?
Well, there's certain, you can be creative. If you're drafting at the top of the draft, you can be a little creative because there's more money afforded to you to do that. So, but that's part of, you know, finishing in last and being able to get a high pick. Now you can be a little more creative than you would when you have a smaller allotment at the end.
Basically have a budget that you can operate by, and that has created the slot system, I guess. I'm not sure if you guys use the word slotting system, but that's the basic idea. A certain position in the draft means you can earn this kind of money as a signing bonus, and exactly. I think it's to even up the balance. Now, the next question is signing these players, and that's always the big step too. After you draft all of these players, the signability and the process that goes into getting them on the field as a professional.
Well, because you have to be, you know, diligent on knowing the player. You know, you can't make a huge mistake on a player, because if you do, then you could not only not sign the player, but it also can set you back as far as how much you're actually a potential penalty that you may incur. So you got to know the player. Signability has always been a big part of, you know, knowing what it's going to take to sign a player, more so even now.
Well, I have it on good authority that your 25th pick will sign a professional contract for a bag of chips.
Good. I'm glad.
That would be Lance Reinke, the son of Ron Reinke. Tell us about Lance, what you saw out of him, and why you decided to take him in the 25th round.
An athletic kid, went to Santa Barbara, University of California, Santa Barbara, which has produced several good major league players, including Michael Young. You know, he's got some tools. He can run. He can play the outfield. And he's hit a little bit. I mean, he hit .310 with 4 home runs. He stole 7 bases. Our scouts, Dan Houston, who's the area scout in Southern California, and Corey Rodriguez, who's the supervisor, got a chance to see him a lot. And they've said all year that, you know, he's definitely worthy of an opportunity.
Who got to make that call to the skipper?
I'm glad I did.
And
I will
that's
tell
got to
you,
be a great phone call.
Oh, I will tell you, he was a proud papa.
Right.
You know, he really, you can just sense how proud he was.
So both managers here tonight had kids drafted.
He did. That's right.
Rustin Swain was drafted by the Cubs today.
That's right. It's a great day for baseball here in Milwaukee.
Now, don't you wish all the negotiations went as well as Reinke's son's negotiate? A bag of chips is all it took.
That's all it took. Now you see, there have been a lot of familiar names in the draft. You got Kirk Gibson's son Cameron, also Tate Matheny, the manager of the Cardinals, as Greinke flies out. Well, Bruce, always great catching up, man. Great job with the draft. And now we'll wait and see if these guys surface in the big leagues.
Great seeing you again.
All right.
Bill,
good job, Bruce.
The hard-working man, Bruce Side. He's got a lot of work yet to do to get these players signed. We always love having him here.
check out our keys to the game, brought to you by GMC. It's been pitching so far has been the story. It's 9 up, 9 down. Mahala has faced the minimum after a base hit, a leadoff base hit by Aoki. Zach Greinke with 6 strikeouts. He's given up a couple of doubles. The Cubs 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. So it's been all pitching so far here tonight.
Well, a reminder, you can purchase a Corey's Corner ticket package for $35 that includes your field outfield ticket and a Corey Hart t-shirt. A portion of the proceeds benefit the American Heart Association. Just visit brewers.com/heart, H-A-R-T, Heart, for more information. First baseman Corey Hart tonight. Zach Greinke ready to go here in the 4th inning. Facing Brian LaHare to start the frame. No score. Cubs have out hit the Brewers 2-1. The only hit for Milwaukee was from Nori Aoki. It led off the game offensively for the Brewers. It was immediately wiped out with a double play. And Mahala has faced the minimum through the first 3 innings with 3 strikeouts, while Greinke has 6 Ks, but 60 pitches at this point, including a 30-pitch second inning where he stranded the bases loaded. 2 hits, 2 walks allowed by Greinke. He could use a clean inning here. Always good to visit with Bruce Side. And that is a hard-working man who has had some very late nights here with the Milwaukee Brewers up in the what they call the war room, the scouting room, which is a high-tech outfit.
Man, that is a process that takes just about all year. It starts tomorrow for these guys.
There's another strikeout for Greinke as he punches out LaHare. Maldonado secures it at first. Number 7 for Greinke.
There's that big curveball. Took a little bit off, and LaHare not able to hold up. One of the rare times that the Cubs have swung out of the zone on that Greinke breaking pitch.
I thought what was interesting about the draft and the process for Bruce Side, and he was quick to bring it up, that not only did Ron Renneke attend the draft, the Brewers manager, who is very much into the draft, and he likes to discuss where the organization is headed and give his opinions. He's seen a handful of players with his son in college. He was able to give his opinions on a few guys as well, but also Zach Greinke, and the fact that Greinke, a starting pitcher, would come and hang out in the war room for the draft, and both of them coming in on an off day, no less.
Well, students of the game, both of them. Ron Renneke wants to know every facet of the game of baseball. He played, he was a coach, now a manager, maybe thinking about how it all gets down to him at some point.
Greinke strikes out Clevenger on 3 pitches, 8 strikeouts for Greinke. He's punched out 4 in a row. Well, his last 9 starts, Greinke with a 5-1 record and a 2.82 earned run average. He's racking up the strikeouts as well.
And again, that includes a start against the Diamondbacks where he gave up 7 runs and 2 in the 3rd, and that ERA is still at 2.82. You can imagine if you could take that away, which you can't. Greinke has been very solid this year, particularly at home, but he's also been pretty good away from Miller Park as well.
The last 6 outs for Zach Greinke have all come via the strikeout. And he has 4 consecutive Ks. Last night, the Brewer pitching staff combined to strike out 14 in the game. Gallardo had a 10 strikeout performance.
Yeah, Gallardo with 10 strikeouts in 5 innings.
And 5 earned runs allowed. Very strange night for Gallardo. Giving up the 5 runs, but a lot of swings and misses last night. Two balls and a strike on Darwin Barney, who drew a walk in the 2nd inning. And it evens at 2-2. Greinke actually went on a scouting trip with Craig Counsell during the spring. Go see a couple of college players. Offered his opinions. Barney hits one high in the air to left. Braun will ease his way over And he'll haul it into the out. 3 up and 3 down for Greinke. He strikes out 2 more. Gets LaHare and Clevenger. Gives him 8 for the game.
One hit, no score, bottom 4 time for crew in the community. The 14th annual Famous Racing Sausages 5K Run and Walk, July 28th this year. It starts at the Sausage House in the Miller Park parking lot. Registration forms available online at brewers.com. Must be turned in by July 18th. And register soon. The Run Walk has sold out all of its available spots the last 4 years, guys. People love this event.
Yeah, it is a great event, and looking forward to getting the final report on that. Brock and I will not be participating this year.
Yeah, that was the celebrity starter. Celebrity, a bit a stretch, but they say Ed Cedar is going to be the celebrity starter this year for the Clements facing Famous Racing Sausage Walk Run.
He won't even need a bullhorn with that voice. Be booming it all across. Well, we'll see if the Brewers can get the bats going. They were shut out last night on 5 hits. They have been shut out through 3 innings tonight. Nori Aoki has the only hit for Milwaukee. Aoki with that single against Mahalam in the first inning, now batting .325 against left-handed pitching this year. And basically it is his success against lefties that has earned him into the lineup on a regular basis, because that's all he faced for the first month of the season.
Yep, overall he's at .279 after his base hit in the first inning.
I was talking to Nori Aoki through his translator Kosuke Anaji about the shifting that he has seen against him in the major leagues. Aoki rips out one center field. Campana can fly, and it is over his head. Bounces off the wall, and Aoki will stop at second with a double. Boy, Campana covering some ground to avoid a triple there. But Aoki now 2 for 2 and the first hit since the first inning.
That came in hitting .308 against lefties. That's going to go up, and Aoki surprising the Cubs with the big power to center field. Campana playing very shallow. And because of his good speed, talking about Campana, Aoki stays at second. I'll tell you, it looked like he was going to go to third base. He would have been out easily, but he puts on the brakes and gets back.
Safe at second, safe and secure. New York life, Norichika Aoki. Well, I would have loved to have had a stopwatch on Tony Campana fetching that baseball in center field. That was impressive. I don't know many center fielders that are going to hold a base runner to a triple right there, or to a double, I should say, as Gomez tries to bunt.
Campana plays a very shallow center field, and against Aoki, most teams are going to play shallow, but every now and again, Nori's going to get into one, and he did that time. Look at the size of that glove compared to the size of Campana.
Reminiscent of Brett Butler, right?
Looks like a highlight basket in his hand.
Gomez bunts the ball. And was he still in the box or not? Yes, he was. That's a foul ball. That's the call from the crew chief, Mike Everett.
As long as 1 foot is in that box when the ball hits him, you can get hit in fair territory as long as 1 foot is still in the batter's box. And there it is. A pretty good call out there by Mike Everett. Bounces straight up, hits him in the arm, but he's still in the box.
And now it's 0-2. Gomez doing all he can to try to advance Aoki to third base. Doesn't bite on the breaking ball. Brewers have not had a runner at second base until this inning. Remember, Aoki singled in the first, but he was immediately wiped out with a double play. Mahalam has had very few pitches from the stretch in this game tonight. Almost hit him. Close one.
He's not afraid to come inside. You know, Mahalam actually leads the National League in hit batters. He's got 6 of them. And that's the reason he likes to come inside. He relies on that sinker, the changeup away to right-handed batters. You got to keep him honest once in a while and pitch in.
Scoreless game of the fourth, and Gomez with a swing that looks like he's trying to hit the ball the opposite way. Fouls it back. 2-2.
Kind of a interesting difference in these two starters. Zach Greinke has yet to hit a batter this year, and Mahalam leads the league.
There's been an emphasis to pitch inside for Mahalam this year as Gomez lifts one in the air. Center. Campana on the run. Makes the catch just shy of the warning track and plenty deep to advance Aoki. So a productive at bat for Carlos Gomez, and he'll get a few high fives in the dugout. And now the Brewers in a position to bring in a run with Ryan Braun coming up. Powerball home run leaderboard has Braun at the top. Corey Hart in there with 11. Brewers could use a long ball here, trying to get their offense jump started. Braun was a strikeout victim on one of those inside corner fastballs in the first inning. That's how the inning ended. Infield in for the Cubs. And Mahalam misses his spot.
He's not afraid to come in there, is he? Yeah, Clevenger's setting up on the inside corner. Just missed the edge. You can't be looking inside on Mahalam. Everything away. Once it gets you out of the way, he'll throw that back leg slider to a right-hander. He'll keep you honest in there.
Coming back inside, Braun fouls it away. A ball and a strike. Well, the Cubs pitching coach is Chris Bosio, former Brewer. And that is his marching orders for all of his pitchers. You must command the inner half of the strike zone, or you cannot pitch for him.
And Boz never afraid to throw one under somebody's chin. About as fierce a competitor as you're ever going to want to see out on the mound, Chris Bosio.
Braun lines one to left, the base hit. Aoki will score. Braun on his way to second. It's an RBI double, and the Brewers have a 1-0 lead.
Tried to come inside once again. This time Ryan Braun waiting for it, and he rips it into left field. Pops those hips open, pulls the hands in, and hits a rope in the left. Hey, Soriano not moving around very well out in left field. Check him out. He gets to it, and then it takes him forever to stop, and then finally gets it in.
Well, Milwaukee's leadoff double comes in to score. Braun with his 10th double of the season drives in number 37. Braun inside the top 8 in the National League in RBIs. And he replaces Aoki at second base. Now Corey Hart, 1-0 Crew. Hart a strikeout victim in the second inning. Remember Mahalam giving up 6 earned runs against the Brewers in his first start as a Cub back in April. 6 earned runs in 4 innings on April 10th. Hart down the line. Nice play by Stewart, but he drops the ball, and Hart is going to be safe. Popped out of his glove. Well, he saves an extra base hit and an RBI, but unable to finish it off with an out. And the Brewers have runners at first and second with 1 away now.
Yeah, there's that slider that he left up in the strike zone, and looked like Stewart was going to be able to make a play on it, but he dropped it. All hands safe. They haven't ruled a base hit or an error yet, and they just did, a base hit.
Well, that's a good call. The backhand at the end of his glove, out of the ordinary, but Stewart would probably tell you he should have made that play. So 2 on with 1 away, and Ricky Weeks takes strike 1 from Mahalam.
Now, you remember that start from Mahalam at Wrigley Field early in the year. He gave up a 5 spot in the first inning, and then was able to settle down nicely.
That was a bitter cold night in Chicago. Narveson ended up winning that game. The Brewers took 3 out of 4 from the Cubs at Wrigley Field in April. That was the first road trip of the season. Milwaukee winning 2 out of 3 in mid-May, or rather, mid-May, I beg your pardon. And it's interesting that Milwaukee has dominated the Cubs here at Miller Park this season. They have won 10 of the last 12 matchups against the Cubs here in this venue. And trying to add to those numbers tonight, hoping to even up the series and give themselves an opportunity at a series win tomorrow. As Weeks looks at an off-speed pitch, a changeup off the plate. And now Ricky has it in the wheelhouse here, 3-1.
Yeah, that's the pitch. If you're able to lay off on Mahalam in a fastball count, a lot of times you'll get a swing on that. If you lay off of it, you put him in a fastball situation, and he's very hittable.
2 on, 1 out. A run is in. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, right down the middle. Outer half right down the middle, and Ricky, I think, pulled his head a little bit. He saw it pretty well, but tried to pull it.
And that pitch right there is symbolic of the struggles that Weeks has had. That was a pitch he destroyed a year ago. Down the right field line. Going to be a tough play. DeJesus has a long way to go. That is a foul ball. Just foul. DeJesus covering the gap on Ricky Weeks. And Ricky almost able to sneak one inside the line.
That long way to go for DeJesus, who was playing off the line, and that one missed the right field line by a couple of feet. That'd have been nice. That might have scored 2 had it not gone in the seats.
There's the
maybe a couple of inches.
Right, the cinder that spread on that foul ball by Weeks, not by much. Full count now. And Weeks to left. Soriano going back, and he's got it for the out. Both runners have to retreat. Braun and Hart. And a tough luck at bat for Ricky Weeks.
Yeah, the next Brewers homestand is a quick one as they host the interleague play, and a visit from The folks from the north of the border, the Toronto Blue Jays, they visit Miller Park June 18th through the 20th. Visit Brewers.com or call 414-902-4000 to get your tickets now.
That'll be our first look at Brett Laurie, the man traded for Sean Markham. He's done a nice job for the Blue Jays. Toronto 29-26. They are second to last in the American League East. Every team in the American League East is over 500. That is a jam-packed race there. Ransom, that's a fair ball down the line. Braun will score, hard on his way to third. Ransom into second, safe. RBI double for the Brewers shortstop, and it's 2-0 Milwaukee.
Cody Ransom is starting to swing the bat a little bit better. He got the first hit last night off of Ryan Dexter in the 6th inning. He gets a slider up in the strike zone, and he hooks it right down the line. Soriano did a good job getting there quickly. And Las Diaz, the third base umpire, did a nice job getting out of the way. Look at Soriano. He almost able to get Ransom at second, although Ryan Braun had already scored.
That is the 19th RBI of the year for Ransom, his 6th as a Brewer. And it gives the Crew a 2-0 lead, the third double in the inning. 4 hits in the frame for the Brew Crew. And second and third for Brooks Conrad. Conrad with a couple of home runs over the weekend against the Pirates. Conrad getting to start at third base here tonight. That is his most comfortable position, where he has played the most in his major league career. Brewers have used him all around the infield. He's played a little first base, second base. Actually got a few innings at shortstop on Sunday. And we saw a lot of Brooks Conrad in the outfield this spring.
And actually, Ron Renneke threw him at shortstop late in the ball game a couple of days ago against the Pirates. So you never know where you're going to find these Brewers infielders.
Broken bat. That is going to fall. A base hit. In to score hard. Here comes Ransom. The throw. One hop. The slide. Safe. Conrad on his way to second. The throw is late. Everybody safe. 4-0 Brewers.
Oh, talk about a big hit for Brooks Conrad. Oh, a 2-out base hit to score a couple of runs. The Brewers with a 4-run inning. And boy, Brooks Conrad needed that in an awful way. Bat blows up, but a one-hopper to Soriano made a pretty good throw in the home plate. But Ransom able to beat it. And a couple of big 2-out base hits to score 3 runs for Milwaukee in this 4th inning.
So Conrad ends up at second base. 5 hits in the inning. 4 runs are in. And with 2 away, it's Martin Maldonado. RBIs from Braun, Ransom, and Conrad. Maldonado just 3 for 22 at the plate this year. Just arriving to the Brewers on the last road trip last Tuesday. He's had a week and a day in the big leagues. Nice to get that first week of major league money, right?
Yeah, that and being able to settle in and getting through this entire starting rotation.
Oh yeah, and then there's that.
Yeah, he's done a nice job.
Fouls it away.
Not expected to do much offensively. Anything you get from Maldonado with the bat is going to be a bonus. I mean, that's one of the biggest cliches in all of sports or in all of baseball. You don't expect much offensively, but what he can do defensively for you can win a game.
Maldonado had a breakout year with the bat last year. Scuffled a little bit in AAA this season. He was hitting just 198. Did have 4 homers. And he takes a 1-2 pitch. Count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Maldonado made his major league debut last year. He appeared in 3 games. Mahalam's pitch count now at 75. As the Brewers send their 8th batter of the inning to the plate against Mahalam. He had faced the minimum through the first 3.
Kind of the story with Paul Mahalam in his career against Milwaukee. He seems to pitch pretty well, but it's that one inning that seems to get him. It was the first inning in Chicago early in the year, and tonight is the 4th.
There's been an error in this inning, allowing Conrad to advance to second base. That is an E2 on Clevenger. 5 hits in the inning for the Brewers. 4 runs are in. Started with a double by Nori Aoki. Hit it over the head of Tony Campana in center field. Full count, 2 outs. Conrad at second. And Maldonado draws the walk, and the Brewers are going to bat around here in the 4th. They'll give Greinke an at-bat in this inning. And Mahalam continues to struggle.
And nice job by Maldonado, laying off some off-speed pitches down in the strike zone to draw the walk. Mahalam got ahead of him quickly, 0-2, but then Maldonado showing good patience.
Greinke flew out to center field in the 3rd inning. He was the final out of the 3rd. Takes a strike. Zach with 4 hits on the season. He's 4 for 25 at the plate. Popped him up. It'll be Barney who makes the call. And the Brewers are retired. What an inning, though. The Brewers score 4 on 5 hits. Starting with Aoki's double. Braun drove in the first one. Tony Ransom at an RBI. And Brooks Conrad carries the bat but drives in a pair.
To give the Brewers and Zach Greinke a 4-0 lead. And tonight's timer of the game winner is Sunnyside Club in Kenosha. If they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. It's offered courtesy
of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
Zach Greinke now pitching with a lead, 4-0 the score. He's gone 4 tonight, given up 2 hits. He has walked 2 and 8 punch-outs. He stranded the bases loaded in the second inning. That was a 30-pitch inning for Greinke, which is why his pitch count is at 73 now as we get underway here in the 5th. Ian Stewart leads off. Pitcher spot due up next, and it looks like Swaim's going to make a change. Mahalam, 4 innings, 3 well-pitched innings, and a meltdown in the 4th.
It's the ability to minimize damage when you're having a rough start to an inning. That's something that Mahalam has really had a tough time with against the Brewers. He really doesn't seem to have that problem against many other teams. I mean, given his numbers this year, coming off a very good month of May.
Two balls and a strike on Stewart, who walked his last time up, and a swing and a miss. Greinke now 2-2 on Stewart. There's Randy Wells back in the big leagues, pitching out of the Cubs bullpen, but certainly a guy that you could see ending up in the rotation. There's a swing and a miss. It gets by Maldonado. Stewart on the run. The throw to first is off the mark. And a strikeout, but a base runner for the Cubs.
That's not something you see much of from Martin Maldonado. He's about as good as it gets blocking pitches. And this is Greinke's game. That almost seemed like it hit him. That slider just disappearing, and Maldonado not able to keep it in front of him. A good throw, and he might still be able to get him.
So it goes as a strikeout, number 9 for Greinke. But the out unable to be secured at first, and Stewart reaches. Adrian Cardenas will pinch hit for Mahalam. And the Cubs starter is done. Taking a look here, Rock. That might have hit him.
It did. It hit him right above the ankle, and nobody saw it. You know, Maldonado's not going to say anything. That certainly did hit him in the leg.
Should have been a dead ball. Should have been a strikeout for Greinke. Tough call, understandably so.
Right.
But there was certainly a reroute of the baseball and got by Maldonado.
Yeah, even if it hits a batter and he swings at it, it's a strike. So a tough break for the Brewers.
But at least Maldonado is redeemed. He doesn't let many get by him, right?
No, he doesn't.
2-1 the count on Cardenas. And that one's up high, 3-1. Well, the shutdown inning, the all-important shutdown inning after your club gives you some runs. So important on so many levels, especially the psychological level against an opponent, to put up a 0 the next time out. Cubs are at the bottom of their batting order. Cardenas pinch hitting for Mahalam. Leadoff man coming up next, Tony Campana. The speedy Tony Campana. And you'd rather face him with nobody on, or Stewart still at first base. Brewers are looking for a double play ball. Runner goes, swing and a miss. Maldonado's throw rifled to second. Out is Stewart. Strike him out, throw him out. What a throw by Maldonado.
I tell you, he's something else. I mean, it's like a game for him. He loves it so much. Back behind home plate, just begging somebody to take off. I mean, that's not even close. I mean, Stewart not a base stealer. They're trying to stay out of the double play, and he's out by about 10 feet. Look at this throw. Cody Ransom just waiting for him.
That had some finishing kick to it, didn't it?
Yeah. Boy, Maldonado can break in a glove quickly.
Got a cannon behind the plate. Campana fouls it away. So Campana bats with 2 outs. Back-to-back strikeouts for Greinke. He now has 10 Ks. Greinke has an 11 strikeout game earlier this season, and a swing and a miss. Those 11 Ks came against Cincinnati. That was Greinke's best start of the year. He went 8 innings, just 2 hits of shutout baseball against the Reds back in early May, about a month ago, May 9th. "4-0 Brewers." Greinke on a strikeout binge here tonight against the Cubs. Struck out the side in the 3rd inning. He's got a chance to do it here in the 5th. And he does so. Strikeouts 9, 10, and 11 for Zach Greinke. He is dialed in. 4-0 Milwaukee. Bottom 5th coming up. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Milwaukee Brewers. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of the Brewers. Beautiful Miller Park on a Wednesday night, and a 4-0 Brewer lead. All 4 runs coming in the 4th, and it was Nori Aoki who jump-started the offense in the 4th. He led the inning off with a double. And back to lead off in the 5th. New pitcher is Randy Wells, the converted catcher, making his 7th appearance, pitching out of the bullpen for Dale Swaim right now. And Aoki hits the bag. Extra bases as it goes down the line. DeJesus retrieves it. It gets by him. Aoki still running. And he'll stop at 3rd with a triple, I believe. That was hugging the corner down there. DeJesus having trouble with it. But Aoki ends up at 3rd base to start the 5th inning.
And we've seen a lot of right fielders having a tough time in that corner here at Miller Park. And the ball and the outfielder gets there just about the same time as it hits the wall, and it bounces around a little bit. Let's check out Aoki having a heck of a night at the plate. Able to pull this one right down the line. And let's see the problem that DeJesus has, and that's exactly what it was. Overran it just a little bit, and Aoki only a triple. You got to figure that's got to be a 3-base hit.
Aoki with 3 hits tonight. Little tapper from Gomez, and Stewart makes the play to first. Aoki does not try to score on that little dribbler. Gomez is out. Well, he saw it hit the bag, and then it had some funny spin on it.
And turning around, not using his coach. He didn't need him. Ed Cedar holds him up at third base.
Huffing and puffing over at third base. But Randy Wells able to retire Carlos Gomez. That was a tough read for Aoki. In hindsight, he probably could have scored, but
you got to go right away. If you don't go right away, you got to stay.
And especially with Ryan Braun coming up and the first out.
See how aggressive Dale Swain's going to be in throwing Ryan Braun strikes here. Randy Wells is sinker baller. He gets a lot of ground ball outs. That's a strike.
That was a called strike by Mike Everett. He thought about it for a minute.
That ball was low.
Two balls and a strike. I can hear Bruce Fremming now. He just popped in the booth. Strange to make a good umpire from 300 feet away. And down in the dirt. Nice block back there by Clevenger. 3 balls and a strike on Braun.
As much as we talk about a tight strike zone, I guess we shouldn't complain when they call a pitch a strike that looked like it was out of the zone. my apologies to you and Bruce Fremming.
Right. Fresh on my mind. Bruce Fremming. Pops in the booth every now and then. We always take a picture of Bruce when he comes in the booth. That one's low, and Braun draws the walk. So Randy Wells being very careful. We saw Aoki go around for a triple. Remember this? April 20th. And a diving attempt by Carlos Gonzalez. And Aoki goes all the way around to score an inside the park home run. Still to date his first and only home run as a Major League Baseball player.
He's been a nice addition to this Brewers ball club. He didn't get a whole lot of playing time in the month of April. Coming off the bench, maybe getting a start from time to time, but with all the injuries, he's made the most of it. He's swung the bat well, and Ron Rennecke's been forced to keep him in the lineup.
Three hits tonight for Aoki. And if he can hit one over the fence at some point tonight, he'll hit for the cycle.
Or inside the Parker again.
We could go there. He's a home run away from the cycle. Another block by Clevenger. Well, I can see why Dale Swain's so high on this catcher. He's a good one back there.
Good skills. He has a pretty good ID at the plate. He's still young, trying to figure it out here in the major leagues. Giovanni Soto on the disabled list, so Clevenger is going to get a lot of playing time.
Yeah, the Cubs feel like Soto is going to be able to start a minor league rehab possibly this weekend. Clevenger, he missed around a month with an oblique injury, so he's basically getting his season going now. He's putting some stakes in the ground for that catching position with the Cubs. First and third, 1 out, 4-0 Brewers. And another one in the dirt. How about that block? Took it off the upper chest.
And you try and get down, you square your shoulders, you soften the chest up a little bit, and you hope for the best. And Clevenger doing a nice job with the man at third base.
Hard in an RBI chance. Has 11 homers, 24 driven in. Count goes to 2-2. Wells burst onto the scene with the Cubs in 09. He was originally drafted as a position player, a catcher. And then finally got his chance in the big leagues. Kind of bounced back and forth via the Rule 5 draft between the Blue Jays and the Cubs. Couldn't stick in the major leagues in 08, and then in 09 got his chance and went 12-10 for the Cubs in a 3.05 ERA.
And he pitched well last year. He spent 2 months on the disabled list. A strained right forearm.
3-2 pitch driven into the right center field gap. DeJesus standing right there. And coming in to score is Aoki. Sacrifice fly and an RBI for Corey Hart. It is 5-0. Cubs had Hart well positioned in the gap in right center. And instead of possibly a 2 RBI double, ends up being a sac fly.
Yeah, Corey Hart will take the RBI. Aoki with the triple and able to come in on the Corey Hart fly ball. Good fundamentals by the Brewers so far tonight. 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position. And every one of their RBIs in those situations.
Ricky Weeks takes a ball. 0 for 2 tonight. Weeks lined out his last time up. Randy Wells took the roster spot made available by Kerry Wood when Kerry Wood retired. And a couple of spot starts with the Cubs earlier this season. And hoping to pitch his way back into the rotation as Weeks drives one to right. And again DeJesus well positioned for the out. Couple of line drive outs for Ricky Weeks. 5-0 Crew. Is a home run away from the cycle tonight. Well, Donald Driver's win on Dancing with the Stars has opened up a whole new world of business opportunities for the Packers receiver. Log on to foxsportswisconsin.com. Read more about where you might see him next. Greinke working on a shutout. His offense has given him some runs. And here we go to the 6th inning. Zach Greinke has 11 strikeouts tonight. That matches a season high. Struck out the side in the 5th inning. Facing Starlin Castro. Castro doubled in the 3rd. He has one of the 2 hits. Castro and Soriano each with doubles tonight. Greinke walked 2. Stranded the bases loaded in the 2nd, but Not much going on offensively for the Cubs since that time.
Now, you can't technically say that he struck out the side in the 5th, right?
Good point.
I mean, but he did.
He struck out all 3 batters in the 5th inning. The first batter reached on a wild pitch.
Right.
But he shouldn't have, because he was actually hit by the pitch.
It should have been a dead ball and a strikeout.
So I'm going with the shouldas.
So he struck out the side in the 5th.
We're going to assume the shoulda. But you're right. It's bad form to say he struck out the side in the 5th.
But he did strike out the side in the 3rd.
Yes, he did. And an update. The Aoki base hit in the 5th changed to a double and an error, no triple. So all that I said about the cycle,
That's too bad.
still could happen.
He could have given him a triple.
A double and an E9.
That's tough play against that wall in foul territory.
Amen, brother. Where's the sense of drama? Bouncing ball to 3rd. Bad hop. Conrad recovers and gets his man. Greinke retiring Starlin Castro. Take a look at the night of Zach Greinke, and a whole lot of swings and misses tonight by the Cubs.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. He's given up a couple of hits, both of them doubles, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts, and he has been on the top of his game. Fastball's been very good. He's been very good with the breaking pitch. He got a strikeout from Brian LaHare on it. He has, we're going to say, struck out the side, the 3rd, and the 5th. Our Pizza Hut delivery of the game.
So 1 away for David DeJesus. Swinging away at the first pitch. Hart ranging over and hits Greinke on the run for out number 2. Speaking of official scoring, we want to send out a happy anniversary to Tim O'Driscoll, the Brewers' official scorer. He and his wife Carol celebrating their 42nd wedding anniversary today. Tim is at the ballpark. Carol is not.
And Tim is looking pretty spiffy. He's got a nice suit on.
He's got an anniversary suit on. There he is.
There he is. One of the best official scorers in baseball. And we mean that.
But I'll go for a triple for Aoki. We always have fun with Tim O'Driscoll.
Right.
Legendary high school baseball coach at Arrowhead. They named the field after him, as a matter of fact. He's probably catching it a little bit.
He's wondering why he's on camera. It was a happy anniversary this time, Tim. We're not complaining about one of your decisions.
Yeah, normally ends up on camera. He's looking for somewhere to hide.
Good man, Tim O'Driscoll.
Sure is. 0-2 to Soriano. Count stays at no balls, 2 strikes. Brewers turning the tables on the Cubs tonight after being shut out last night for the first time this year at Miller Park. It is Greinke who is spinning the shutout. Although his pitch count is at 97, he might not have much in him tonight. That 30 pitch 2nd inning did some damage to his longevity tonight. Slow curve lifted in the air to right. Aoki is there. And a 1-2-3 inning for Zach Greinke. the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. And by the new Miller Lite Punch Top Can. It's Miller time. Our Jimmy John's high-speed delivery tonight. Paul Mahalem, the Cubs starter, topping out at 90 miles an hour. Zach Greinke has been as fast as 95. That 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Greinke came one pitch after a 53-mile-an-hour curveball. Wouldn't even register on the speed pitch. Out of the concourse in right field. That's true. He threw a 53-mile-an-hour pitch tonight to Greinke. Cody Ransom leads off for the Brewers. He had a big at-bat in the fourth inning. Had a double and an RBI. Drove in the second Brewers run. The Brewers would end up scoring 2 more in that inning. Bouncer to third. Stewart gloves it, throws it, and Ransom is retired. Check our AT&T trivia question tonight. Who are the 2 active players with a 40 home run, 40 stolen base season? 2 players have done it. One of them is in the ballpark tonight. Active 40-40 players.
And one of them's on the DL.
Here's Brooks Conrad, who had a single and 2 RBIs his last time up. Big hit for him. He broke his bat, but he drove in a pair. Completed the 4-run inning. Turns around, hits left-handed against Randy Wells.
You know, that's not right. The guy I'm thinking of did not have 40 homers.
1 short.
Right.
Matt Kemp.
So never mind.
Well, you didn't incriminate yourself unless that person is not on the disabled list currently.
Well, I'm being honest. I'm not painting with a broad brush. I'm not going to pretend like I know.
It's always the best way to go, Rock.
Honesty is the best policy, especially this day and age. People can look stuff up and know you're lying. Got to be honest.
That's right. Conrad takes ball 4. Schroeder save. It's like Confucius save. Here's Maldonado. How about this throw by Maldonado? We put the clock on it, Rock, just for you. 1.84 from pop to pop.
Yep, glove to glove, and 184 is way above average for a major league catcher. If you can get glove to glove in 2 seconds, that's considered to be pretty good. 184 is tremendous.
.184. I mean, that honestly is about as good as you can do it.
Absolutely.
It's about as fast as you can get a baseball to second base.
And right on the money.
Just over 126 feet to second base. That's got a chance to fall. It will fall. His throw to second was much firmer than that. But Maldonado has a base hit. Looks like a line drive.
Have a little jam shot on a sinker tailing fastball coming in on him, and able to fight it off. De Jesus, who plays pretty deep out in right field, couldn't get there and give him a base hit. And Maldonado has been on base twice, a walk and now a base hit. He got caught a little bit back in the strike zone, but still able to be strong enough to dump it into right.
So Maldonado with a walk and a hit in this game. Greinke will bat now with 1 out. See if he's up there to bunt. He squares early. And Randy Wells steps off. 2 on, 1 away. 5-0 Brewers. Greinke pops it foul. Paul Maholm started this game for the Cubs. He went 4 innings, giving up 4 runs. Now Randy Wells pitching in his 2nd inning. And Dale Swaim will probably give him a chance to go extended innings here. Wells had been a starter in AAA. Did not make the team out of spring training this year.
This is his 2nd stint with the Cubs. Called back up on May 19th, as you mentioned, when Kerry Wood retired. He's 0-1 in 2 starts this year.
Started the season with an injury last year. After his first start of the season. There's a bunt. Wells fields it and will make the play to first. Thought for a moment about third base. It would have been close over there. But a sacrifice bunt. 2nd and 3rd for Nori Aoki, who has 3 hits tonight. A single to start the Brewers night offensively. That was in the 1st inning. He then doubled in the 4th. That began a 4-run outburst for Milwaukee in the 4th. And then this one in the 5th. Originally scored as a triple, ends up as a double and an error on De Jesus.
Yeah, that ball didn't actually hit the wall on the further review, and De Jesus overran it. Looked like an error. Good call by Tim O'Driscoll.
Aoki at the plate, presented by Wendy's, with 3 hits and now a walk. Intentional walk will load the bases for Carlos Gomez.
Showing some respect for Aoki here is Dale Swaim.
A 2-out intentional walk. And it'll be Carlos Gomez now. This July, they'll miss the biggest event of the summer as baseball's greatest stars battle for home field advantage in the Fall Classic, the World Series. The road to the World Series begins with the 2012 MLB All-Star Game. It's Tuesday, July 10th, 6:30 p.m. Central, only on Fox. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver will have the call. Ken Rosenthal. And how many Brewers will make it there? Carlos Gomez in a big spot. He could put this one, put it away right here and now. Bases loaded, 2 outs. 5-0 Milwaukee. In the air to shallow left center. Campana and Soriano, and Campana hauls it in. Inning over. Brewers strand the bases loaded. They lead 5-0. in our Toyota game summary, finally breaking open against Paul Maholm. Getting 4 runs in the inning on 5 hits. And after Maholm had faced the minimum through the first 3, the Brewers finally able to score in this series. Remember, they were shut out last night. RBIs in the inning from Braun and Cody Ransom. Brooks Conrad had a 2 RBI single as well. Brewers would add a run in the 5th inning as well on a sac fly from Corey Hart. 5-0, get you caught up. Ryan LaHare on the first pitch pops it sky high out to Ricky Weeks for the first out. Greinke working on a 2-hit shutout at this point. Back to our AT&T trivia question. Who are the 2 active players with a 40 home run, 40 stolen base season?
It was A-Rod. I remember now.
Alex Rodriguez did it with the Mariners way back in '98. Soriano did it in '06 in his only year with the Nationals. 46 homers, 41 stolen bases.
And 46 home runs, not easy in that old ballpark in D.C.
And that got Soriano a massive contract from the Chicago Cubs. What was interesting about Soriano's 40-40 year with the Nationals, he had the 46 homers. He also had 41 doubles that year. So of his 179 hits, 89 of 179 were extra base hits. That was some kind of year.
And started out the year by telling Frank Robinson he will not play left field.
That's right. That's right. He was being moved from second base.
Where'd he end up? Remind me. Left field.
Left field. Frank Robinson doesn't lose many arguments.
Never did. He was a Brewers hitting coach. I was around for that. That was a good year. Frank Robinson knew a little bit about hitting.
There's a strike called, and Clevenger is rung up. Greinke punches out number 12. That is a Brewers high for Zach Greinke. 12 strikeouts in a game.
Yep, right at the bottom of the strike zone. Mike Everett's been calling that pitch all night. And rings him up.
Greinke's career high is 15. Did that against Cleveland while he was pitching with the Kansas City Royals. 12 tonight. Brewers pitching has struck out 26 Cubs in the first 2 games of the series.
And Greinke just dropped the changeup on Darwin Barney on pitch number 106.
See the most strikeouts a Brewer starter this year. Gallardo last night struck out 10 in 5 innings. Greinke had that brilliant performance against the Reds. He had 8 shutout in May. And add another one to the list. You know, last year, even though Greinke missed the first month of the season, essentially missing 5 starts, only Clayton Kershaw had more strikeouts from the time Greinke began pitching in the major leagues last year. He's going to have a nice, easy 1, 2, 3 inning. So he punches out number 12, and through 7, it's 5-0 Brewers. Improved to 15-0 in his career at Miller Park. Check our Ho-Chunk Gaming text question tonight. Rick and Spooner wants to know how much impact did the current Brewers roster have on draft choices. And I'm not sure it has much impact at all, actually. We had Bruce Seid on, the director of scouting for the Brewers, and you know, baseball is different than football and basketball. You have to look at a couple of years down the road.
Yeah, so you're talking 3 to 4 years before you get a draft choice that's going to be in the major leagues. And Bruce Seid said it. We talked to Tom Flanagan a couple of days ago. That was Sunday, and he said that you go for the best athlete available, basically. And that's what every team does. But just because you need a third baseman currently, for an example, you don't draft a third baseman because you're not going to see him in the big leagues for 3 or 4 years. Right.
Well, Manny Corpus is the new pitcher for the Cubs, the third Cubs hurler, and Ryan Braun will lead off. I think the best example of that is when Jack Zarenzik was the scouting director. Bruce Seid then working under Jack Zarenzik at the time. The Brewers had Prince Fielder at first base for a number of years, and they drafted Matt Laporta, who projected to be a first baseman. And you might remember that it was Matt Laporta who was the key piece that allowed Doug Melvin to make the trade with the Indians to get CC Sabathia a year after Laporta was drafted in the first round. So you try to build with athletes, with strength, with arms. Players are picked not just to surface at the major league level for the team that they're drafted by. That's the ultimate goal, but also for trades, and if you get in a pennant race, prospects.
Yeah,
that's great currency in this game, and it has paid off in a big way for the Brewers twice in the last 5 years. The Sabathia trade and the Markham and Greinke deals, both resulting in playoff appearances. Corpus drops down sidearm and strikes out Ryan Braun.
Hey, it's time to ramp up your efforts, Brewer fans, to get your favorite Brewers to the 2012 All-Star Game in Kansas City. Fans are eligible to vote online at Brewers.com. All fans voting 21 times or more will be entered to win Ryan Braun's Miller Park Suite for a night. Log on to Brewers.com and cast your vote now. The 2012 Major League Baseball All-Star Game is Tuesday, July 10th at 6:30 p.m. Central, only on Fox.
Corey Hart on the first pitch. Ranging over is Castro, who whips it over to first for out number 2. Well, you can vote a maximum 25 times online, so if everybody watching our broadcast here maxes out their votes, you'll see some of your favorite Brewers at the All-Star Game.
You might get a pretty sweet spot to watch the game in Ryan Braun's suite. There's 2 different suites there.
The suite EET and then the UITE.
Right. I didn't mean it.
It's a play on words.
Sometimes it just happens.
Sometimes brilliance just falls in your lap.
I wasn't thinking along those lines. And Manny Corpus was not on the roster to start the game. There's no information on Corpus, so he must have been just called up.
He has a new arm angle release point.
He missed all of last year. Had Tommy John surgery. He spent his entire big league career starting in 06 with the Rockies.
Spent some time as the Rockies closer at one point. It's amazing how it can disappear. I remember watching Manny Corpus in Double-A throwing 100 miles an hour consistently in the upper 90s. Well, the Rockies had some great arms come through their minor league system all at one time. The bouncer foul by Weeks, Ubaldo Jimenez, and Manny Corpus.
Francis, who never really panned out. Speaking of Kansas City,
I saw Francis re-signed with the Rockies after he was released, I believe, by the Reds. Injuries take their toll.
Yeah, they do.
Some make it back, some never do. It's the rehab that is the story. You know, the discipline. That's why you look at a guy like Chris Capuano, who has come back from 2 Tommy John surgeries. So many setbacks, but the discipline that he has to come back and be effective. Corpus just slinging it in here. It looks uncomfortable, especially coming back from surgery.
Yeah. They say throwing down there is a lot easier on the arm than it is throwing over the top. But when you do it infrequently, you can see what happens. You almost hit Ricky with that last one.
And a strikeout. Corpus punches out Weeks. And a nice inning for Manny Corpus. To the 8th we go. 5-0 Brewers.
p.m. It'll be mostly sunny for the game and all around pretty nice. Our first pitch 68 degrees and winds will be out of the east coming in at 5 to 10 miles per hour.
All right, Valerie, thanks. Looks like a great day for a tailgate and a ball game. Zach Greinke's day is done. Very impressive here today. Greinke headed to the clubhouse. Our Miller Lite, what's on tap? Final game of the series tomorrow. And as Valerie mentioned, 12:30 is airtime. First pitch just after 1 o'clock. And then the Padres come to town. Time now for our AT&T U-verse reverse replay. Take it back to the night of Zach Greinke as he goes 7 strong. Just 2 hits allowed. Walks 2, strikes out, a Brewer career high 12.
And he really never was in any trouble except for the second inning where he loaded the bases, was able to get out of it with a strikeout. 2 walks, 2 hits, both doubles, and he faced the minimum after a 1-out double from Starlin Castro in the 3rd inning.
And it'll be Jose Veras now, Rock, out of the bullpen.
Well, Veras tossed a scoreless 9th inning on Saturday against the Pirates. He walked the batter, struck 1 out. Has not allowed an earned run in his last 7 appearances. That covers 8 innings.
Defensive changes for the Brewers. Edwin Masonette enters the game as the shortstop, and that moves Cody Ransom over to third base. So Greinke tightens up defensively. Brewers trying to return the shutout favor to the Cubs after being shut out for the first time all season at Miller Park last night. Ian Stewart starts it for Chicago. Brewers dropped 2 out of 3 to the Pirates over the weekend. So needing a win tonight to have a chance to win a series tomorrow. The Brewers haven't lost a series to the Cubs this year. Taking 3 out of 4 in Chicago in April and then winning 2 out of 3 in mid-May here at Miller Park. rebuilding Cubs under Dale Swaim. Part of that Theo trio, they call it. Theo Epstein is the president. Jed Hoyer is the general manager, and Dale Swaim, all with Red Sox ties. Swaim was the third base coach on the 04 Red Sox championship team.
And understanding, I think the folks in the north side of Chicago understand it's going to take a couple of years to retool this organization. Swaim trying to change the culture a bit, maybe a little bit more accountable in that clubhouse.
There's a base hit, opposite field single by Ian Stewart. Good piece of hitting.
Yeah, it's all about the curveball for Jose Veras. There are times when it is very short and a very sharp break to it. Other times, like that last one, kind of hangs up there in the zone and becomes a little bit more hittable. And Ian Stewart doing a nice job taking it into left field.
Reed Johnson's going to pinch hit for the Cubs in the 9th spot of the batting order. Johnson's been a good pinch hitter this year. He is hitting .467, has 7 hits and 15 pinch hit at bats this season. Zach Greinke has done it again here at Miller Park. We were talking about it in our Brewers Live pregame show today. Greinke will be a free agent at season's end. Brewers are certainly hoping he'll sign a contract here in Milwaukee. And if you're Zach Greinke, why would you want to pitch anywhere else?
Yeah.
He is dominated here in this venue.
He does not know defeat on this mound as a Brewer. That's hard to believe.
He's got a chance to stretch his winning streak here on the Miller Park mound to 15 in a row. Greinke was 11-0 last season here at home. That is a piece Ron Renicky would love to have to roll out there every 5 days come next season and moving forward. Well, there's no doubt Greinke will be one of the top free agent pitchers if he chooses to remain a free agent to the offseason. Matt Cain signed a long-term deal with the Giants. There's a strike called in the outside corner.
And the Brewers are going to do everything they can to sign Zach. That's for sure. It's just a matter of how much Zach is going to ask. And you're right, that Matt Cain deal has kind of set the bar for him. It's going to take a lot of money to sign him.
Two and two to Reed Johnson. Breaking ball, he goes, says Mike Everett. And Johnson is a strikeout victim. 1 out in the inning.
13 strikeout for the Cubs tonight after striking out 14 times last night.
Center fielder Tony Campana.
So 14 strikeouts last night for Brewer pitching against the Cubs. 13 tonight as we play in the 8th. Greinke had 12. 3 off his career high. Campana fouls it away. Tony Campana has contributed 3 strikeouts to the ledger tonight. He struck out 3 times last night as well. And a wave and a miss. He's down 0-2.
He really has a tough time with that breaking pitch. That curveball slider down in the zone. You leave it up, he will slap it into left field, but He's a pretty good fastball hitter, but the breaking ball, a good one's going to get him out.
See where Veras wants to pitch him here. Fox tracks is up. And the 0-2. Dropped a hammer on him. Down goes Campana. The golden sombrero for the Cubs leadoff hitter. Back-to-back strikeouts for Jose Veras.
7 strikeouts for Campana the last 2 games, and that leadoff hitter, he's not the kind of a guy that you would expect to be striking out like that. That curveball had plenty of the plate.
Two going with a runner at first, and it'll be Starlin Castro. 8th inning from Miller Park, and the Brewers up 5-0. Greinke was terrific tonight. Just 2 hits in his 7 innings of work, and survived a 30-pitch 2nd inning, stranding the bases loaded in the 2nd. The Cubs' best hitter at the plate, Starlin Castro. And he chased one. 95-mile-an-hour heat upstairs. And it's 1-1.
And he's still learning how to hit in the major leagues. He very rarely walks. You can imagine what he's going to be able to do if he learns his strike zone a little bit better. Already a .311 hitter and hardly ever walks.
One ball, one strike. And he pulls it. Great play by Ransom to throw in time. The 6'6" Corey Hart, a nice target over there. Cody Ransom's having a night at Miller Park. What a play this was. What a target he is.
Over the Cubs. We're going to the bottom of the 8th inning, and Cody Ransom, of course, doing a great job over at third base. Defense has been holding its own. But how about the 4th inning, Augie? You take a look at our Marshfield Clinic shining moment. The Brewers didn't have any offense yesterday. Plenty in that 4th inning, coming up with 4 runs.
Yeah, it started off that inning. It was a 0-0 game. Norioki doubled. Ryan Braun come up with a big double with an RBI. Corey Hart then got a base hit in the infield. There we see him legging it out. Cody Ransom, a big 2-out double, scoring an RBI. And then finally it's Brooks Conrad with a base hit, scoring 2 RBIs. Big inning for the Brewers.
Well, and that, Augie, is the newcomers, the new names, those type of things. You got to dig deep in this roster. You talked about it on Brewers Live pregame. This is what they needed tonight.
Yeah, they're getting that opportunity. When they get that opportunity, just relax, do what you can do, and they're showing it tonight.
All right, we have full post-game reaction. We'll catch up with the Brewer players inside the clubhouse, and Ron Renneke as well coming up. Brewers Live post-game, and get you set for Game 3 tomorrow afternoon as well, Brian.
All right, Craig and Augie, thank you. Looking forward to Brewers Live. Augie's fired up. That was a big inning for a pitcher. He could just sniff those runs, right?
Yeah.
It's like, man, where was that in my playing days?
He's still excited like a pitcher, just like his playing days.
He loves seeing those runs come across. Cody Ransom, he's right. He's had a big night tonight. Terrific play to end the last inning. Ransom started this game at shortstop, ends up at third base. Carlos Marmol is the new pitcher for the Cubs. The former Cubs closer, and he's hoping to earn his way back into that role.
Yeah, right now, Dale Swaim has not announced a closer. It's going to be matchups and whoever has the hot hand at any given time. And Carlos Marmol actually went on the disabled list with a hamstring problem when the Brewers were at Wrigley.
5-0 Crew in the 8th. Looking ahead to the Cubs' 9th inning. We'll have De Jesus, Soriano, and Laher. 3, 4, and 5 in their order coming up. Brewers do have some activity in the bullpen. There's Manny Parra, the left-hander. Up and throwing. Veras, a scoreless inning in the top of the 8th. Veras with 2 strikeouts, gave up 1 hit. Greinke went the first 7. Tomorrow it's Randy Wolf for the Brew Crew against Matt Garza. Garza was tough on Milwaukee and Chicago earlier this year. He was 1 out away, a poor throw on a swinging bunt from a complete game against the Brewers when he outdid Zach Greinke. Final game of that series in April.
He has made 2 very good starts against Milwaukee.
He's tough to handle, especially in the shadows of a day game tomorrow. Brewers need Randy Wolf to get back to Randy Wolf success. He's had a rough one this year. He's 2-5 with an ERA just over 6. We talked about the fact the Brewers, when they send up their aces, as Ransom strikes out, have to take advantage of the Gallardo and Greinke starts and mark them. Well, our instructional is coming up. Brewers Live post-game show. Jerry Augustine and Bill Schroeder will break down the techniques and strategies of the game. And in tonight's post-game instructional, what do we have, Rock?
Man, we're going to have Jerry Augustine covering first base from the mound. I will be flipping baseballs to Augie, and we'll talk about some of the things to think about when you're covering first. That will be my role.
What will your role be? You'll be the...
I'll be the first baseman. Flipping baseballs over to Jerry.
So Jerry's going to be doing the wind sprints up the line, huh?
He's fresh. He's ready.
He'll have a good lather going.
He's not going to start from the mound. I don't see any reason to do that.
Why wouldn't he start from the mound?
Don't need to. Have him start about halfway.
Edwin Masonette's first at bat of the ball game.
It would take too long for the instructional to do all that.
There's a base hit for Masonette. And his first trip, he singles. That's been a hot spot in the Brewers batting order here tonight. The 7th spot on the order with 2 hits, a walk. Conrad drove in 2 runs. Powerball home run count for Maldonado at 1. He homered on Sunday. First big league home run for Maldonado, and he hit it into the Brewers bullpen, so he was able to retrieve the baseball. That'll end up on his mantle somewhere. He is 1 for 2 tonight with a walk. I was kind of hoping you would get into the Maldonado throw to second. See the Bill Schroeder rifle in action again.
Well, I hate to tell you, we did that on Sunday in the outfield.
No, it's too bad.
Davey and I talked about the footwork. I couldn't come anywhere close to the throw that Maldonado pulled off.
I kind of like to, you know, see a comparison. Maldonado, by our unofficial stopwatch, threw a 1.84 seed to second base. 1.84 seconds from mitt to mitt, pop to pop, which is a common measurement for scouts when they watch catchers. Because it's not just arm strength, which Maldonado has plenty of it, but from the time it hits the catcher's mitt till the time it hits the mitt of the infielder covering the bag, that encompasses all of the footwork, the timing, how you position yourself to make the throw.
Transition from the glove to the hand, the throwing hand. And yeah, we did that Sunday.
You had the stopwatch out?
Didn't actually make a throw. I was talking about the footwork.
What about your best throw right now? How many seconds? What do we got? Come on.
I'd have to get a lot of air under that baseball to get it to second base.
A base hit by Maldonado, his second hit of the game. Why? You can skip it in there. Mid to mid, it doesn't matter.
That slider and Maldonado, as I change the subject, able to bang one into center field.
Come on, Rock. 2.5 seconds. You can do it.
Just don't have it in me anymore, partner. I'm sorry.
I disagree.
I'd like to try to impress you, but I just can't.
Here's Taylor Green pinch hitting.
I'll play along with you, though. Back in my day, you know, I was considered to be a quote-unquote good defensive catcher with occasional power. That was my description in some baseball periodical.
You could run into one.
Right.
You're a catch and throw guy.
Good defensive catcher with occasional power.
At your best. What was your time to second, you think?
I was around 2, you know.
Yeah, a little under. I bet you were under 2.
I was about average thrower.
That's why we're saying that if you were with us earlier, Maldonado's throw to second was 1.84. Seriously, no. That's as fast as you can get it down there.
That's a big difference between 2 seconds and 1.84.
Sure.
I mean, that's a lot of second and a half.
What that does, that's like a shutdown quarterback in the NFL. That will prevent the running game. This is what we're talking about. Pop to pop. 1.84.
And right on the money.
The greatest catchers of all time. The Pudge Rodriguez's of the world. Benito Santiago's.
They don't get it any quicker than that.
No. We figured it was going to be good just by the way it looked. It was the perfect pitch to throw on as well. It was a little bit up. Taylor Green goes deep to right. Maybe. This is number 1 for Taylor Green. A 3-run home run.
That was a good night's work for Taylor.
Pinch hit 3-run homer. And his first major league home run of his career. Well done, Taylor Green.
Carlos Marmol, after striking out Cody Ransom, gave up 3 consecutive hits, 1 a homer. And that was a blast. And the guys coming up from Nashville able to provide 3 runs. Masonette, Maldonado, and Taylor Green. I like it. Good for them.
Comes opportunity, and the Nashville Sounds well represented tonight. That's got to be a great feeling. Taylor Green in his 89th career at bat with his first major league homer. From Canada to Japan we go in the batting order. Taylor Green from BC, British Columbia. Same province as Ryan Dempster, yesterday's Cubs winner. That's one he'll remember forever. Slow roller to Starlin Castro, and he takes care of Aoki for out number 2. Take it back to the home run by Taylor Green. Got one he could handle and didn't miss.
That was a slider that stayed up in the strike zone, and a nice short stroke by Green, and he knocks it out of here. That was no doubter down in the corner down there and right.
Yeah, look at those 3 names.
Got Canada, Japan, and Puerto Rico represented.
That's right.
Around home plate.
Carlos Gomez with 2 away. Now that's the thing about AAA, even AA now. I mean, there's a lot of organizations. The Brewers not so much, but a number of organizations make the calls directly from AA. The Dodgers are one of them. Start getting to the upper levels of minor league baseball, AA, AAA. You could see any number of those players surface in the big leagues at any time. Gomez, lazy fly ball to center. Campana will run it down. And the side is retired, but a memorable moment for Taylor Green, 25-year-old, with his first major league home run. A 3-run shot. It's 8-0 Brewers. To nothing our score. The Brewers have the lead over the Chicago Cubs as we go to the 9th inning. And a number of changes here as Nyjer Morgan enters the game in left field for Braun. Now George Kataris over at first base. Corey Hart out of the game. Taylor Green stays in to play third base. It's like a spring training game right now. We got a lot of changes here.
Yep, everybody used off of the bench except for Aramis Ramirez.
Cody Ransom goes to second base, so he's played short, third, and second tonight. And the new pitcher is Juan Perez.
I didn't even notice him getting loose. They sat Manny Parra down after the 3-run home run. And Juan Perez, who's been throwing the baseball pretty well. 9 strikeouts in 6 innings, but he has walked 7.
Trying to get a little confidence back, see if he can finish strong, get the final 3 outs, and even up this series at a game apiece.
Gave up a home run last night to Jeff Baker, a 2-run shot in an inning of work.
David DeJesus leads off. He'll be followed by Soriano, then Laher. Taylor Green over at third base, just still beaming after that home run. His first as a major leaguer. And a nice moment here. Rob Edwards, the public address announcer, made a big announcement after the inning ended, and a nice ovation from those who remain here at Miller Park. Just kind of feel good. And that stretched it out. Gave Greinke a chance to get Corey Hart and Ryan Braun off their feet for the remainder of this one.
And two things: you never forget your first game in the big leagues, and never forget your first homer. And Taylor Green finally has that home run.
Don't forget Brewers Live post-game coming up as soon as we're done here tonight. Bill Schroeder and Jerry Augustine will be doing wind sprints. Fielding ground balls. You gonna have somebody hit some fungos to you?
You're having a good time, aren't you? I'm glad to see you're having fun.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I bet you are. We'll try and we'll do us proud.
You always do. DeJesus draws the walk. Man on in the ninth. I couldn't think of two better teachers than Bill Schroeder and Jerry Augustine. You guys should start your own academy.
Left fielder, Alfonso Soriano.
Just saying. That's the best part of fantasy camp, that you get instruction. Ground ball to short, and the Brewers turn it up. 6-4-3 double play. Ransom was basically standing on the bag with the shift on. Masonette starts the double play.
And Soriano not running all that well. We saw him kind of hobbling down in the corner and left. And the Brewers able to turn it easily with Soriano somewhat limping down the line. Masonette and Ransom to George Kataris, and who in the world would have thought that would be the double play combination when you start the season here in Milwaukee, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, George
can't account for injuries.
He's taking advantage of any opportunity he can to play first base. He wants to play first. He knows he has enough power in his bat to be thought of as a pinch hitter, and he can catch. Comes down to their last hope here with Brian Laher at the plate. A 10-0 Cubs win last night. The Brewers returning the favor tonight. Can they carry the shutout? Zach Greinke to improve to 7-2 with one more out. His earned run average drops to 3.13 after 7 shutout innings. Just 2 hits allowed. Brewers have 2 shutouts this season. Had one against St. Louis. Greinke was a part of that one. April 7th. And then Greinke again in an 8-0 shutout against the Mets. There is a trend developing with Greinke on the mound. He'll be the starting pitcher for all 3 shutouts if Perez can retire Laher. That's it. Got him on a breaking ball, and the ball game is over. The Brewers win. They even the series at a game apiece. And a lot of the guys up from AAA Nashville getting the job done tonight following the lead of Zach Greinke. Taylor Green with his first big league homer. An 8-0 Milwaukee win. Greinke to 7-2 beats Paul Mahalem. Much more still to come on this game. Craig Deshawn, he's out there with Jerry Augustine. What do you have coming up on Brewers Live, Craig?
Well, I like where you're going with that one, BA. You got the veteran Greinke out on the mound and the youngsters doing the job at the plate for him in this game. We'll talk to all of them. How about that? Get inside the Brewer clubhouse here for Ron Renneke as well. Brewers Live postgame on the way.